Big Cat at BCIGVA is setting up at least an NFT auction where people are sending him NFTs, and he's pledged to auction them off and donate all the profit to the Red Cross for Ukraine. So that's something that I saw the community doing.
That's wonderful. Please, if you can drop the link for that in the chat, that'd be great for people to get. What's going on with AFK Elephants? I heard they did a burn, or like a redemption, or I saw there was problems with their NFTs.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So, does anyone who's up to date with the AFK Elephant story know like what is going on there?
It sounded like they sent a lot of duplicates, essentially, but there was some I don't know the exact terms, but like rare and super rare ones, and I think a lot of people that those sold for a profit. But it sounds like anyone who got the duplicates, they're basically waiting to get new ones that will be more unique. But I'm not sure how they're gonna like remint everything.
And these were ASAs, right? Like they were on Algo. I assume they were ASAs. So, yeah. I mean, there's like an argument to be made where they each got a unique ASA. So that's what they signed up for. Because technically the art is not the NFT. Like the actual image is not like the protected the thing protected by ownership. Pardon me. So. I don't know. Like, I first of all, I think not we all, but many people agreed that mint was too expensive, and then to be basically rugged, where you get like really, really uninspiring art. I don't know. I felt like it wasn't a great move.
Yeah, that mint price was why I kind of stayed out of it, and the fact that they have 10,000, apparently that dropped like 1,600 something, but. Yeah, I kind of stayed away from it. Yeah, it's a bit headache that wanted like unique in terms of imagery.
Yeah, I saw Riku put his weekly Algo rant out there. He posted his FK Elephant, and he said his didn't qualify as being a duplicate, because the shade of blue in the background was, 2 decimals, different or something like that. So, like his looks virtually the same as someone else's, but they're technically different. I guess is slightly different. So, I mean, from that perspective, I mean, it seems like maybe to get to that large volume, they didn't have enough characteristics to make them really truly unique. I think maybe it could have had some more effort in there to make them more desirable from that standpoint.
But when they show the AFK Elephants on their promo materials, all of them look, pretty unique. They got a bunch of different designs and stuff. So maybe it's the case where they put extra effort into a few and then just put like no effort into the rest.
Could be. I mean, they've got some utility coming down the line too, though, right? So they've got, the AFKs are supposed to allow access to, some of their launchpad activities or something that are coming down the line. So I think there's more to come. So hopefully they kind of follow up on that plan of action.
So there's a few launchpads coming to the space, aren't there? Is Yieldly still doing a launchpad?
You know what? Coop and I were just talking about this. Yieldly's been talking about it forever, but they've been kind of quiet about it recently. I just talked to the Algo Funds guys, and they seem like they're closing in on it. And I think your guys over at AlgoFi are they've been talking about it. It's probably pretty far off on the roadmap, though, right?
I don't believe AlgoFi has plans to do a launchpad at this moment, at least. It won't be for the next, it probably wouldn't even be like this year. Maybe if they change their plan, but I currently don't know about it because I know right now they're more focused on they integrated zapping, so stable swap, and then it would be like governance in the token.
That
Those
zapping is pretty cool, by the way.
Yeah, zapping is pretty cool. It's useful. It's definitely especially useful if you are doing flash loans, because on Algo the gas fees are so minor. It's mostly like a time saver and a convenience. It's really dope though. Have you guys used the AlgoFi Dex? Like, what are you thinking of it? Is anyone using AlgoFi right now? And like, yeah, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I've definitely been on there, checked it out, did a couple of small trades. Was checked out the interface. All looks pretty smooth. By the way, your tutorial was excellent, Eva. By the way, so great job there. I actually watched it. I was like, okay, I can go check this out. So kudos there. It's pretty sweet. I can tell a lot of thought and effort into it, and it's for the most part pretty well designed, right? I mean, I think the feedback has been predominantly good, and the TVL shows that, right? They just passed up Yieldly. I think there were like a couple of caveats there, like if you include lending or something, but pretty quickly they've been adopted, right?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome to see. Truly, like, congrats. I'm really proud of the team. They did a great job building it. I think the Dex just needs liquidity now. A lot of the pairs that we take for granted that have decent liquidity on Tiny Man, like Go Bitcoin pairs or Go ETH, like they definitely need liquidity. And I'm pretty sure that some incentive programs are going to be coming to those assets soon. So you'll be able to farm liquidity on them like you can do for Algo stable, USDC stable kind of pools. So yeah, there should be more incentive to get Ethereum and Bitcoin value. Definitely going up is pretty dope. Congrats to the team. But yeah, it just needs more liquidity. Although that's a lucrative opportunity for anyone willing to take that position and provide liquidity in pools. So
I'm excited about getting my big paycheck tomorrow, man. Like,
the airdrop.
Yeah, man, because I've been on there going hard.
Yeah, I'm actually like, I don't even know like really how they're doing the distribution there.
I read it
I
out.
hope everyone.
I read what they're doing. Like the first, like out of the 200K, 100K will be evenly distributed between everyone, and then the other 100K will depend on how much time and TVL you put in. So they're doing like an equation with that, with 100K of the 200K they're giving away tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So everyone gets like at least a base minimum, and then like you get extra based on how much activity you've done. And then I think like over the next few months, they also have the rest of the 2 million algo to distribute. And like you can see, they started giving out some rewards. I've earned a few algo from that. Honestly, I can't even lie. I opted out of governance to go into AlgoFi. Why? Because I mean, you look at the governance vote right now; it's 98% option B. So it's like it's really not going to. My vote's not really going to make a difference, and the yield is like comparatively lower than governance 1. It was like 19% in governance 1. Now it's like 9. And so I just felt like the risk for using AlgoFi early, like, and I'm in the same boat y'all. Like, even though I do media, like I don't, I joined on day 1. Like I'm in the same boat as everyone else. So I just felt like it was like the retroactive rewards for using AlgoFi this early will probably be more lucrative than governance. Than the governance bet. That's just
I've still got my bag in governance. Like I've always had my DeFi bag ready, like for like AlgoFi, etc. But I'm personally leaving my bag in governance because I don't want to ruin my ex-governor status. I kind of want to be able to multiply my votes later on and stuff.
Well, here's a question for anyone who can answer it from the foundation. I don't know if anyone can answer this, but will the current status of staking and governance apply to ex-governors or like ex-governance in the future? Like, because we haven't voted that in yet. So, is it applicable right now? Like, will these count retroactively or not? Do you guys think like they're going to count them retroactively or what?
I'm not I'm not exactly sure, but I was bragging to Evan last night about my yield farm on AlgoFi because it is beyond juicy. Like I love getting that paycheck every day. Well, like I always make a joke with my girlfriend, like I got paid today, you know. Let me click and get it real fast.
I'm actually on the opposite. I'm gonna go into governance for the first time just because Yieldly's getting rid of their no loss lottery. I was collecting the Yieldly for staking my algo, but I've watched that last AlgoFam chat. I guess we all had on the governance like twice now, just because there was so much good information, and it seems like just there's no proposals yet. They all have like everything's up in the air. Nobody knows yet.
I could see there being like a, it's a historical record, so people can see if the wallet has ever, like, I could imagine giving more, I don't know if there's like some delegation down the line or something. I could see it being a factor in the way people delegate if that ends up being how it works.
Like in a retroactive way, you mean, Evan?
Yeah, right. Like wouldn't you trust a wallet that's participated in every single governance more than one hasn't?
See, I'm going to push back on that because since it was just proposed this governance period, we only really found out about this XGov possibility, like 2-3 weeks ago. So for someone like me, I just decided to go governance. Even though I made that with the ex-governor's knowledge in mind, I'm sure there are people who had to leave governance because of market conditions or they wanted to do something else before the vote was like proposed or the topics were proposed. I don't know if it's fair to really like penalize them for something that they didn't know about,
No, that's fair. That's definitely fair. I don't think it's fair either, but like to penalize people. But I could definitely imagine it being a factor for some people. Like some people will look at that and automatically have a decision one way or the other. For good or for bad, right? I think there are some people who would pay attention to it. It might not be
one way or the other on, but
if suddenly my goal becomes to get as many people to delegate their algo to me as possible for whatever reason, right? Like being able to advertise that I haven't missed a single governance would convert some percentage of the population in expectation.
I would have to agree with that.
Is the
I can see
governance
that.
vote? Does it? Are they talking about delegation, or are they talking about you keep staking and then you get double votes? I don't know.
That was the big thing in the that big thing in the last chat was that wasn't specified, that exact word. You just used delegation, so that's up in the air.
Yeah,
Right.
This is all hypothetical.
So I don't think the delegation thing is even on the table yet. I think that's something that would have to be probably proposed down the line.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 5 votes ahead.
I'm excited for this.
Off in my own imaginary
That's
world.
why when I participated, someone just said that they're going to come out of governance because, I mean, the reality of American politics too, like their vote doesn't matter. But I'm interested. I'm going to go into governance because I'll be voting for stuff. I'll tell Chris Swainer can be my delegate.
Your personal governor, Governor Swainer.
Well, I also removed from governance because, like I said, the vote is so one-sided this time that I don't even think it's mathematically possible, to go to option A at this point. So, then at that point, it really is purely a question of like yield, like because the vote is clearly going to go to option B. I don't know anyone who's really supporting option A to, 2.5% of people, but.
Yeah, last time around there was at least a little bit of flip flopping. There was a little bit of drama in the last vote. This one seems pretty much lopsided.
Right. This vote is pretty much everyone agrees it's a general crypto thing. It helps decentralization. Whereas the last one, actually, I was thinking about the last governance vote the other day, and if option B had passed, in which people got /8% for leaving governance, I originally supported option B. I ended up voting for option A, but I think it would have been pretty damaging to the ecosystem, in a huge market downturn like we experienced over the past like 2 months, and a lot of people would have had to pull from governance, and then they would have lost extra money. It kind of burns the community. So I think it's probably the best that we didn't go for that. But what do y'all think of that in retrospect? First governance voting period, like A versus B.
I mean, I'm still hardcore on the slashing. I just personally think like if you're gonna dedicate something to something, like you need to be dedicated. That's just my personal opinion. But like I said, that's just how I see it from my side of the view. 'Cause I make sure I take care of my finances before I do anything. You know, not everyone is, I don't know, quite as prepared or has liquidity on the side to make up for things, you know, and so forth. So like, and I can't really see it from someone else's eye, but you know, like I said, from my perspective, I would have enjoyed to having the slashing because one, higher yield, and if everyone would have pulled out, then the yield probably would have been insane then. So, like, I don't know. I'm just seeing it from just, you know, being greedy and want more algo.
I'm with you. I was in favor of the slash too.
I do feel like it might penalize long wallets over large. That's why I was against it personally. I feel like if you know the wallet most likely remove their governance is likely to need the yield and need the money more. You know what I mean? So like it felt like it was a retrograde tax where it's like pulling money from small wallets to the big wallets that could afford to leave their had more disposable income to.
I don't know, business decisions, but I mean, they're kind of bygones, I guess, at this point. Just kind of keep forward.
Yeah, and in the current governance proposal has 21 hours left on it for anybody who hasn't
It's the final
made
countdown.
their vote yet.
Oh, thanks for a reminder. I have actually it doesn't really matter to me anymore. But yeah, anyone who hasn't voted, make sure you vote so you can lock in that yield. Confirm your opinion. Guard released their white paper. I read it. Did anyone else read it?
I have not read it yet. I had an interview with them, I don't know, maybe a month ago or something like that. So I probably have a gist of it, but if you want to give us a quick summary, they've got an interesting plan.
Yeah, sure. Essentially, what Guard is going to be upon launch is a lending platform for your governance bag. So you can mint coins based on how much your governance bag is worth. You have to. Your bag has to be backed 140%. Like the Guard stablecoin has to be backed 140% of you know, collateral. Sorry, I'm not really stringing together the words well this afternoon, but either way, so if you mint $100, you have to have $140 worth of algo backing it up, and if you drop below 115%, you will get liquidated basically up until the point where you can support your position. So I definitely think it's going to be huge. You know, it's a risk. It's definitely a big risk because I think it's riskier than they're kind of letting on. It seems like, you know, they're kind of marketing it as like they're marketing it as like a stable, like, oh, this is like consistent, you know, this is low risk, but it's actually not low risk. Like, you know, let's say you lock into governance during the governance period, and then you borrow a bunch of Guard against it during the governance period. Your the price of algo depreciates, so the value that's backing your Guard goes down. You may have to repay that loan because you might, you know, it's not like you just are holding Guard anymore. You probably used it, so you have to reacquire the Guard, repay, and then you may have to pull from governance, and so you'll lose that yield too. So I think it's actually a much riskier tool, although it can be very useful for acquiring leverage. It's riskier.
The leverage piece. Yeah, I think the leverage piece is so much riskier because they have this looping mechanism, right? Even they've got, so if you put in, you know, 14,000, so somebody comes in with a pretty big bag, they put in 14,000, they can borrow 100,000 worth of, you know, their Guard stablecoin, sell that 100,000 for more.
You mean 10,000? You mean
10,000? 10,000, right? So and then swap it, and then, you know, then they can do that, like, you know, depending on their minimum requirement to be invested, they might be able to do that 5 times right? Where they
Yeah, you
deposit
can
their algo, borrow
definitely.
against, sell the algo, sell the guard, buy more algo, reborrow against, and that gets dangerous pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Because then you're really stretching your bag to the max. And if the $14,000 worth of algo that you deposited then becomes worth 11,500, or comparatively the same ratio, if you'd stretch the bag, now you're in trouble because basically your position will be taken from you and sold on the Dutch auction for people to provide liquidity. It's a healthy system. I think it's going to be brilliant for increasing TVL. Like this might have like a Luna Terra UST type of like effect where people really start to lock up and leverage and but I think people are going to need to be aware that it's a pretty risky tool because you're not just risking your position, you're also gambling your governance rewards. So you could be hit with like a double whammy if things go wrong.
I'm actually really excited about XPact and the way we can like buy vaults and essentially play like storage wars in crypto, which is going to be essentially kind of fun in my opinion.
Can you tell us about that a bit?
Yeah, like when vaults get liquidated, you can even buy your own vault. You can actually use that as a own strategy, or you can buy other people's vaults if they're not unaware, and you can buy people's liquidity like at a 5% discount, and then resell in the market for a profit.
So the vaults, is it only algo, or can you put different ASAs in there as well?
Right now, I think they're doing algo and DC go easy. The more liquid pairs, but then more in the future and stuff like that.
So what are the purpose of the vaults? I haven't too much on XPact, so what's the vault for?
Your vault is like your own personal. Like, say I put like 10,000 algo, I could borrow 5,000 XUSD. Then and then let's say the price drops so much that I get liquidated. And, I can either use that strategy since you can't short on there to buy my vault back at a discount, and go with the market, or I could buy people's vault that are unaware at a account for a 5% profit.
So it's a lending platform.
Yes, it's a lending platform. Just and
Like those guys were in here. I thought I saw their icon just a second ago. Their PFP.
they were, but it's probably like 3 o'clock in the morning for them right now.
Hello.
But I just like how we can act as liquidators on there. I feel like that's a really fair aspect to it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's one thing I wish they add to AlgoFi is like a front end for liquidations. But I understand like maybe it's best to reward the people who can do it. And they don't need a front end for it because like they're probably the most savvy and most interested in doing it. Has anyone here tried to do a flash loan? I don't think anyone has tried this yet.
I'm actually waiting until we get like an Oracle on chain, to be honest, before I do flash loans.
Who's going to be the first Oracle service? Is it going to be AlgoRacle or who?
I believe so. I believe they're the ones that are ahead of the curve right now.
How does Oracle service money? Like, how is AlgoRacle going to make money? People just pay for their service?
That's one way they make money. I know they're going to have sports betting built onto AlgoRacle as well too, and that's what their token's going to be used for. Because that's kind of like the problem with Link. Because when you look at Link, like their token really doesn't have much utility to it. So their token's going to be used for sports betting. So that's going to be like a revenue generating process for them.
Yeah, they're gonna sell the data to access to like Mercury Labs or something like that. Or hell, maybe Smilecoin or what's the Casino Algorand or Algorand Casino? Those guys.
Yeah, or like things like Algo will definitely, and like XPact and all of them will definitely need it because like flash loan attacks were pretty common in ETH.
What about Venue One? What are they up to now?
Venue One, they're doing real estate there, aren't they?
Are they? Maybe it's not the Venue One I'm thinking of. Then there's a different one that somebody else was doing. Betting sort of, but with a fancy name.
It just seems like gambling betting is kind of like a natural use case for crypto, especially in these early days. It's like it just makes sense. What happened to Smilecoin though? Has anyone really heard from them? What's the latest?
I just see them tweet. That's about it. Like rarely.
I hopped in their Telegram chat the other day. Their Telegram seems to still be going. People, talking about hopping into green gaming, trying to, do their daily, participation stuff. So it seems like they've got an active community in Telegram anyway.
Hey everybody, just wanted to share this speech from the other day. It was a presentation on the 23rd. And lots of people like to ask technical questions about AlgoFam. This was posted last night, just about 5 in the morning. So they have it available. We were reading here, just having more of a focused chat. But had a few people that might be over. Just right place. If you want to come up and talk about your company or the things that you're working on, feel free to request to come up as a speaker. And we might have Gav Roche coming up too. He was giving some information on some of the limitations that challenges he's been trying to overcome related to building out production apps on Algorand. So we had a pretty good discussion going there. One of the helpful changes that's coming soon is removing the limit on assets and removing the limit on the number of smart contracts that you can opt into. So the pull request was a little bit hard to find for a second time there, but just right, he's been doing a lot of work in this area and he pulled it up no problem. So that was great.
So did you listen to this talk, and was there anything really interesting that stuck out to you as you listened?
I missed the original event. It was just kind of tied up. So I saw this last night. I haven't checked it out yet, but this is the first in a series. Next one. Let me check the date on the next one. But I'm sure it's definitely worth. This is it from University of Florida.
What's the title? Is it something you're searching?
The title of this one is just Why Algorand. So, hey, Just Right. Glad to see you come up here.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
We were talking a little bit about the concept of custodial wallets last time we spoke. And I'm trying to recall. I can't remember if it was, let's see, Wayru is the internet service, this decentralized internet service. What's the one that was presenting this week, guys? That was all focused on APIs and custodial wallets and
maybe Copper.
Copper, yeah.
It might have been Copper. That was what our contact at Algorand Inc. gave us an intro with them last week, kind of around the whole custodial accounts thing.
Okay. Yeah, there it seems like there was one other one. It started with a W. It's escaping me right now. I should have taken some good notes here. The concept of custodial wallet is a big one. If you're building an application and you're onboarding users and people who are not familiar with blockchain, we can't give them this user space. Them now have to register, KYC it, and exchange. So much, start writing down a 25-word passphrase. We want to be able to use a blockchain without knowing it. I'll see if I can find that other organization who's in that space.
Yeah, cool. That'd be awesome.
So we got AVM 1.1 this week. do any devs want to talk about that and give us some context on the contract calls and the composability and various other upgrades? Please, I'd love if a dev can give us that rundown.
I think the contract calls, that's going to be a big feature for people who
I guess we won't really see the benefits of it for probably a few weeks, right? The projects need to integrate into their systems. But I'm really excited to see, it just seems like a very applicable upgrade. You can have smart contracts create or execute or destroy other smart contracts, in turn of a transaction. So that's just a very open-faced upgrade. I'm just really excited to see how these companies start to use it.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely use it to create, better shuffles and things like that, where like you don't have to opt into every asset and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of potential there, at least just considering the fact that so many NFTs are bought with shuffles. A better shuffle mechanism would be pretty valuable to the community, I bet.
Most definitely. We definitely need more shuffles.
More shuffles. Oh my god. I don't know if I can handle anymore. There's a new game that came out called Fighting Fish. Anybody know about this game? Anyone played it? What's it all about? Basically, no one's heard of it. It's a game. There's keys. You buy them from the shuffle. I think you pit them against each other on a web app, and something happens. But to be fair, I didn't really look fully into it. Anyone tried it? Is it fun? Is it something worth getting into?
I'm not sure. It kind of looks like Tamagotchi though, from what I've seen like on Twitter and like
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah, it kind of does. It's fun. But no one's tried it. I guess we could just move on.
I released my interview with Dope Cats this week, who will have the first complete on-chain NFT voting system for NFTs. Pretty exciting, in my opinion.
Oh, tell us about that.
So for every cat you hold, right before the voting period, you opt into an asset, and they give you a voting token for every cat you hold. And then a community member named Loaf Pickle built a UI and a wallet connect where we'll vote, and then the tokens will go to a wallet, and that's how the votes will be counted. So yeah, I'm very bullish on the Dope Cats right now.
Oh, word.
And especially since that she literally all the royalties and everything from the DACs, like my profile picture, will go into the DAO treasury. She's not keeping any of that.
Oh, that's great. Did y'all see lottery.com uses Algorand for their platform infrastructure? You want to talk about that, Monty?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's called what? Project Nexus, I think, which sounds very, I don't know, like James Bond or Mission Impossible or something. Project Nexus. But it's a gaming platform. Yeah, I don't know if it's sports betting or if they're going to run like casino style games on there. But it's a fairly well known brand, and even though I want people to be careful with gaming, that sort of thing, I think it brings extra attention to Algorand. And what people don't see with a lot of these that players that come in is that lottery.com may very well figure out some new way to use Algorand that the rest of the community can use for other purposes, like shuffles or NFT giveaways or other mechanisms that create sort of a lottery type style. And we've got a lot of that already, but who knows what's going to come out of that. So they've got some money, they've got some fun, they want to do things right, and then building on Algorand, I think it's good for everybody. So we'll see what happens, but I'm bullish on it.
more on the back end, more on the infrastructure end of things than having it be front and center and like we're doing things on blockchain. Again, maybe they'll make that into their branding, but it seems logical to have something as complex and detailed as the lottery transactions and those payouts on chain. And I think just bringing a lottery and tracking it on chain is more than enough. It's a very applicable and simple but effective use case of blockchain. So I think it's a pretty cool partnership for sure. I don't use lottery.com. I'm not a lottery person. Is that like is that a company that really like, I don't know how big
it seems like the domain would be very expensive just by itself. You go to the website, it looks like a lottery website. I personally haven't used it as well. So will I try out the Nexus deal when they do it? Probably. I'll probably go scope it out and do a little bit of part to provide feedback for the community. But I mean, just the fact that they own lottery.com and have been for quite a while, seems like it's well established and in the lottery world anyway, fairly well respected. I do see a bunch of like creators and project founders in here. I thought I saw the Crescendo folks in here. I don't know if we've talked about Crescendo a ton.
He was up here as a speaker for a second.
Yeah. I'd like to get him back up here because I'm an old man, Gibu. I know you're a musician and artist, and they've had some conversations with Lauren, who works with me, and I think they're doing some cool stuff. And I was just like maybe just a 5-minute like update, just something real quick if they're available.
Yeah, please, Crescendo, come back up if you want to give us the rundown on the project. I'm going to be using them. They're going to launch pretty soon, and to be fair, they've been hounding me to send in some material, but I'm prepping everything for some new songs. So once that's done, I'll be getting on there. But actually, here, go ahead. I'll let them speak.
I'm actually the artist outreach manager, so I'm not necessarily the best person to talk to for tech updates, that sort of thing. But we are plugging along. We're working on a proof of concept launch early next month. And right now we're just trying to build up content so that we can give people something to browse through. So if there are any artists out in the audience or anything like that, please feel free to hit me up if you need a place to sell your services or goods.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to use Crescendo, but I guess I'm still a little confused. Like, what's the specialty of Crescendo? What's the big benefit to artists? It seems so open-ended that I'm kind of unsure how to use the site.
Yeah, I do understand that. As far as the big benefit, that probably is a question that'll be left up to the community in the end. The large thing that's from others is the ability of the services. So we expect a lot of our customers to be new Algorand crypto projects, organizations that are trying to put together advertising campaigns, social media campaigns, that sort of thing, but don't have dollars to pay with. We expect that we're going to get a lot of those projects that come in. And really, so it gives you the option to list services. So like logo making to clipping together, editing, mixing, mastering, that sort of thing. So really, it's going to be somewhere where artists can make a living without having to sell just NFTs, basically.
That's cool. You should definitely hit up Millenbug. One of my favorite algo musicians right now. I'd be tempted to hit him pretty regularly.
I appreciate that.
So if I were to list something on Crescendo, I could list like I could say like songwriting service. I could list it on Rand, couldn't I? So what's the biggest benefit to using Crescendo? I know it's like the fee structure, but can you like give us a little info on that?
I'm sorry, what was the What was the site that you said you could list it on? Where?
What'd you say?
What was the example that you gave? You could list songwriting services on. Did you say Bandcamp?
No, I could list it on any NFT website. I can just put a random picture and say songwriting services, and then like whoever buys it can contact me. And then say they have the NFT, and then I basically just do it. So what's the benefit of using Crescendo in this circumstance?
Well, that's I mean, theoretically that would work. Part of what we do there is for the service aspect, we use an escrow function, so that they don't have to send you the money and just trust that you'll do the job afterwards. So when someone buys like a service from you, they'd buy the service, they'd send the funds to an escrow wallet, and then we confirm that the service actually was completed before the funds get sent over to the artist. So it just offers a little extra protection to both parties.
So you guys are gonna, as a team, decide if the job's been done?
We're going to establish, with each product it'll be different, obviously, or with each service it'll be different. But we're going to be establishing goalposts, or a finish line before the contract gets enabled.
How do royalties work with your platform?
We have a couple of different, that's probably something that should go to one of the other teams as far as the royalties. We definitely have the means to control royalties within our platform. But, if you sell an NFT on our platform and then somebody else sells it on AB2, we still don't, I don't know the answer to that question.
Fair enough. I love the idea, and I love that we've got an additional player in this world. So hopefully, Evo, get your material in, man. They need to stockpile the catalog.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, don't rush the artist, okay? Don't rush the artist. Let the artist work. Yeah,
we're trying to build a platform that's run by the artists that are selling on the platform. So, our token serves has a function to it as well. It's really pretty groundbreaking stuff we're doing over here, and I hope that everybody when they see it.
What kind of things can the governance token vote on initially? Like, what will the topics be?
I want to say that we've had 9 governance votes already. As far as the topics that we've had, we've voted on a restructuring of our rewards programs. We've actually even voted on what to do when votes are too close. Because we ran into some issues with things coming in close at like 50-50. So it's really, the sky's the limit as far as what the governance token can do. It's not, obviously we're in our infancy stages, so it's not what you would consider a DAO. But in the end, we hope that it's going to be something that's controlled by the artists that sell on the platform.
How'd you get involved with Crescendo? How'd you join the team, and how'd the team come together to make this project?
I was actually just an early investor in Crescendo. When Elo came out with the plan, I liked his vision. I liked what it was that he was trying to accomplish, and I liked the idea of disrupting the music industry a little bit. So I was just an early investor. I stayed active in the community, kind of stayed involved with the governance and everything, and got offered a job when things started to move into gear.
Well done.
Yeah, thanks.
I think Evan's, Evan, you're usually here, but we don't actually ask you a whole lot about Zestbloom. Can you give us any kind of an update there and tell us how things are progressing? NFT, fraud protection, that sort of thing. I know was on the horizon for you. How are things moving along in that front?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. We're making new updates pretty frequently, like 5-6 times a month. We push out a new update. So things are, we like the last update that we just published. Images and videos and everything should load much more quickly. And at least on my end, it seems like that's true. Like from testing and using the website, things are loading much more quickly. We were working on auctions for a while, but auctions are ready. They're working. So we have auctions, make an offer, traditional escrow. The next thing that's on the plate is collections, and we're going to redesign the organization of the website a little bit to optimize for collections so that people can browse more effectively. I'm working on some statistics, a little bit more advanced than just like floor price and total volume. Like sorting by rarity, and like also not treating each as equal, right? Because like just because a trait is equally rare as another trait doesn't mean it's necessarily as valuable, right? Like you can actually go and calculate how much people value the smoking trait versus a non-smoking trait or something like that, right? Like I expect that the visual appearance of a trait actually matters. We're working on a shuffle really hard. It should be ready pretty soon. So we're really excited to get shuffles and reverse auctions going so that we can have basically every feature you would want in a marketplace. So I'm really excited about the future and how things are shaping up. We have a big team going, so we've got a pretty high burn rate, which means that we're really thinking that at some point people will want to use the platform and it'll start to become like it'll fully pay off. And we're getting close, but the burn rate is high right now, so it's full within the next like year, 18 months to actually justify the number of developers we're bringing on into the ecosystem.
Well, I think from a UI perspective, you guys clearly have one of the strongest, arguably the strongest. I think for NFT marketplaces right now, it seems like unique features are really like the selling point. Like Complex NFT has, some useful auction stuff. And if you guys can integrate the DAO NFT verification system, that's a unique feature. So I think it's going to be really cool to see, how things grow together or apart in the next few months with the NFT marketplaces, because there are a bunch, and there's going to be a bunch more. Definitely Zest Bloom starting early has a good advantage over the new ones coming out. It's a question of like what will work better to be first or to be last.
And we also want to help. Like, we're fully at the end of the day, we're not just a marketplace. We're also so we would love to help other places come to market. I like my vision of the future of NFTs is that there's going to be a lot of competition in the market space, right? The marketplace space, because each marketplace should have their own dedicated communities and some unique components in terms of like, I don't know. I always, maybe I'm thinking with my Web2 brain, but I always go back to Reddit and think about how there's a lot of subreddits, and each subreddit is its own community. And so I see a natural parallel to how marketplaces could run, where each marketplace is its own community of people, and it has its own way of ranking content, and it attracts its own type of content creators. And you have like music subreddits, you'll have video subreddits, you'll have general purpose subreddits, right, where it's like it's about like is it funny or not and stuff like that. So I think that it might be some hybrid version like that, or maybe not. Maybe it goes in a totally different direction. But I definitely think no matter what, there's going to be a lot of competition. And to speak to the verification component of it, we do verify to make sure that you haven't re-uploaded similar images. So like if these big projects that like a couple projects I've seen that have accidentally had duplicates within their own collection, like that wouldn't stopped if they tried to mint on our platform. And also, even if it was just a few shades of blue different, that would have been stopped as well. Like they wouldn't have been able to mint it on our platform. It would have told them it was a duplicate. Not even like malicious in that case. They're just doing something on accident. It would have protected against those kinds of bugs. So I'm very bullish on our verification system, and it'll get better now that I have I downloaded all the NFT images and GIFs on Algorand. So I have 350,000 NFTs saved on my computer and uploaded to AWS. Check if people are copying content. That part is still a little bit tough to implement. Like I can run it on my local machine, but and then like publish a list after the fact. But I want it to be live, updating. You know, need to build
Right,
out
but
an API.
one big problem is that people take NFT series from other chains, just bring it here because the algo community, well, each chain is kind of insular in its own little community, own little world, and a lot of the time, most people don't really track other NFT series like on Solana or Avalanche or Cardano or whatever. And I've gotten like 2-3 times from that. Wasted a few hundred algo here and there on like scam projects. Is it possible to track that, or is that just like too much?
Oh, it's absolutely possible, and it's on the roadmap. Like as soon as we have the API service for Algo, all we have to do is start downloading content from other chains. And the nice thing is almost all of it's hosted on IPFS. So you can almost just crawl IPFS and download all the content that you find there. The hard when you start to compare signatures, right? Because you're trying to figure out who did it first. So I don't think PFS. I could be wrong about this. I don't know if IPFS has like an upload as part of the thing. Like the only way to check when it was uploaded is to look at the chain that it was minted on. I could be wrong about that. If IPFS had a native way, then that would be much easier. But that's basically the solution, right? Is you just crawl the chains, you make a gigantic database on, you can go as big as like 50 terabytes, 100 terabytes on AWS pretty easily. And then scan through all those images and GIFs and stuff. It's definitely in the pipeline. And you can also even do like a Google reverse image search has an API that you can call, so you can just automatically search all of Google images. Those things are much harder to do than just crawling Algo, just because it's like a bigger database, et cetera. So it'll take some like, not that it's not technically possible. It's only technical chat me from expanding its chains and stuff. So I gotta figure out how to do it quickly. People aren't waiting like 10 minutes for their the check to happen, right? You have to solve those little technical problems.
Everything. What do the other devs do?
I'm not doing everything. I am. Most of the devs are working on the Web 2 components of it. So it's like trying to make sure that the website looks nice, that the images render. The part that I do most is like I wrote all the grants. I write papers and stuff to pitch to investors. I built this verification system. Like that's the part that I contribute to most, and then I help test bugs and like verify that that's even to that extent it's like a little bit less. Like those first items are value of what I spend time doing. And also came down like some managerial components, and I'm trying to build the website for Kin as well.
That looks very interesting, actually. That the whole Kin group is should be able to, like, I don't know, have a lot of influence, I think.
I hope so. I want to see marketplaces working together to make a better ecosystem. Like it feels very fragmented right now, and I think that it would be really nice to see people working together and contributing features and stuff like that. Like this verification thing that I'm building is it would be better served if everybody used it instead of just Zestbloom. And so, like, how do you create a system where other people want to use my verification service? Like, you gotta create a DAO that links the marketplaces together. So that's kind of the future for that, I hope.
That's really awesome. We definitely need like a a form of due diligence like that on this platform, especially with the amount of like rug pulls that have been happening lately.
Yeah, and also just making sure everybody understands no algorithm could ever solve everything. Even a $100 billion YouTube content ID system has tons and tons of bugs, and people have lots of disagreement with how it spits out its answers. So like, I'm not nowhere near competing with YouTube's content ID in terms of copyright protection, just because I'm not a $100 billion team. But like the answer to that is you need a DAO. You need people who are voting on content. You need people who are adding some human component to it. And ideally, it's not like the way Facebook does it, right? Where they pay a team of people, the bare minimum in other countries to review the content 24/7. Ideally, you have people who are invested in the platforms and generating income from the platform's success. People who actually have a vested interest, voting and trying to think of what's good for the platform and what's the scam.
Right, and I think that's awesome because it's a job creation tool. People who do those jobs for Facebook can easily jump and do those jobs for Zestbloom and Kin, but they're earning equity in the tool that they contribute to, which is just the naturally better solution.
Yeah, to me, I feel like it's an extension of play to earn, right? It's like, I mean, it's not even, I can't even say it's play to earn. It's work to earn.
I was about to say it's work to earn.
What a concept! What a concept! Work to earn. Telling me I can get a fair wage.
Changing the world.
I think it's more like contribute to earn, not so much work to earn.
Right. It's a cooperative. It's a cooperative thing. The system does better with more verifiers. Here's the question: if the system does better with more verifiers, like if you have 100, that's dope. If you have 10,000 people verifying, it's probably better, but the payout gets less. So, how do you deal with that kind of concept of the more popular KinDAO gets, the bigger it gets, the less lucrative it is, and that may disincentivize people. I guess it would probably hit an equilibrium where it hits a level where there's enough people that people feel like they're getting paid fairly. If that were to go up, some people drop out. If that goes down, people pour in. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's definitely like a great economics question, right? Where it's like you're looking at the marginal rate of substitution, I think is the economic term. It's like there's diminishing return in terms of right. It's the classic problem is like, right, what if I have if I'm trying to dig a hole and I only have one shovel, how many workers should I employ? Well, you have one worker, they'll get tired. You have two workers, they can trade off, and so there's still an advantage to having an extra person, even though you only have one shovel. But at some point, you just have a bunch of people. If you have like 100 people in one shovel, you have a bunch of people you're paying to just wait around and do nothing.
That's like every roadside construction site in America. Like,
100 people in one shovel.
There's 2 guys drilling and 7 guys
standing around.
And that's what makes us late.
You gotta have a platform that works with that knowledge, right? And like, there's only so much value to labor, right? Like ultimately, where's that money coming from? It's coming from the ecosystem. People are paying for that service either through there's got to be some sink, right? Some source and some sink, and the money's coming from people who are buying NFTs, or it's coming from the marketplaces. There's got to be some tax on the ecosystem to perform that service, and they got to get their money's worth, right? There's no reason that what can be verified with 10,000 people is better verified with 10,000 than with 100,000.
Evan, I've got a question for you, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
What has the community response been to your make an offer feature on Zestbloom?
If I'm being super honest, it hasn't gotten a ton of use, which is surprising to me because I've seen a lot of people beg for it. Not that it hasn't gotten any use. It's definitely gotten use on the platform, just not as much as I was expecting or hoping for. I do have a feeling that adding collections will dramatically improve the usage of such a feature, because like just honestly looking at the numbers, putting a piece in a collection dramatically increases the the sales velocity and number of transactions and the value of those transactions.
Sure.
So I think if we just add that organization, then suddenly make an offer and platform usage in general will skyrocket. I'm hoping, because it's just a better way to organize stuff, right? Instead of using a search bar, you gotta do some basic organization of the content. The one thing that's been a little bit tough about the collections, and something I hope Kindao can add to, is nobody has their collections on chain. By that I mean like the list of asset IDs that are part of the collection. So I'm currently trying to build a system where the collections are actually on chain, and that way, somebody makes a collection on Zestflume, and suddenly they can import that. Like, collection could be rendered on Darkroom, right? Something like that I think would be service, right? Because right now the only way to do it is scrape NFT Explorer, write a little web scraping tool, which feels wrong and also is just extra hassle. I should be able to opt into or not even opt in. I should be able to index the blockchain, and find in ASA that whose metadata corresponds to a list of like a collection ASA.
So on some NFT marketplaces, the royalties carry over from place A to B, and others don't. Is it not consistent in why you take an ASA from marketplace A to B to C to E and etc.? These on every sale.
Yeah. So right now I'm pretty sure that's just done purely by honor system, right? Like, so people put you can encode the royalty in the metadata somewhere, and people can choose to honor that if they'd like, but there is no enforcement mechanism. So you need an enforcement mechanism if you want royalties to carry between marketplaces. And the only way I think that could happen is, you got to wrap the NFT in a smart contract that has its own rules about how you can transfer it. And then it would be because right now you could buy an NFT on a marketplace. If the royalty is only encoded in the metadata, you could then sell it to your friend for whatever price and not pay any royalties. Just P2P.
Right, but you could do that in the normal art world too. Like, you can sell someone a piece of art outside of an auction house just for like over the counter.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what you're paying, the thought behind that is we're paying for from the auction house is like access to all the buyers and the whole shebang, which might generate more money than just trying to find your own clients to purchase it. But the artist loses out if they're not getting royalties, right? Like, I can imagine there being a market for NFTs where the royalty system can't be subverted.
It sounds like something that the Kindao could integrate, possibly. If you're partnering with many marketplaces, one agreement of joining is like you have to honor these royalties. Like, no matter if you're in this group, you honor royalties.
Yeah, and I mean, and you can always check on chain to see if they honor the royalties, and that would be an easy way to bootstrap it. In the end, though, I think that it'll still come from something like Kin, where people are collaboratively integrating a common smart contract, where the smart, like, everybody uses the same smart contracts, and the smart contracts that they use have an enforced royalty system in them. But it's in practice, it's hard to build these things.
NFT projects that just give me projects to give away mass amounts and just live off of royalties.
I think something like Scully Friends. I mean, I don't know of any that just gave them away, but something like Scully Friends might be kind of a good example where their mint was so low, and secondary sales have been pretty crazy. But, I wouldn't say that they're like living off those. Just say they're rolling all that into whatever they decide to do next with the community.
Very interesting. I just meant like revenue model was just surrounded royalties instead of initial sale.
I think it's such a cool revenue model, personally. Like, get your your piece into the hands of people who are there first or whatever, who are most interested, and then if they want to trade it or whatever, that's where the revenue comes in. It's a lot more it's a lot less risky for collectors, that's for sure, and as opposed to like a big player investment, and if there's a second. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
If I can give a quick shout out to my friend in the audience, Multi-Chain Mike. I've had a pleasure of meeting this guy at Ethereum Denver. He has a really cool community called the Multi-Chain Community, or the Open Habitat. And it's really cool because he tries to collaborate with every ecosystem that has like, an NFT scene to it. And it's really cool. And I've been working really closely with Algorand lately. He's been very interested in us, especially in our NFTs. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to him if everyone's seen the audience. He's wearing a Mingo right now.
Looking good in the Mingo. So I'll stick with me because here's the thought process. So a little while ago, Ebu is talking about NFTs that migrate from ETH to Algorand, and I thought, oh, there's projects that like are ETH to Algorand or back and forth, and then Dequency's in here, Crescendo's in here, which makes me think about musical projects that I see JT, and I think, ooh, JT musical projects that also go from ETH to Algorand and back again, and JT got into a little mix-up with Lee Parsons the other day. JT, you want to tell us what happened and what you were with Oculus there? Can we bring that up?
Tell us the
man.
tea.
That's funny. I suppose I could mention a quick word on it, but I mean, in reality, it was never meant to go down that way. I was just making a comment on David at Crypto for Change's post, and he came in to, I guess, defend his position, and I just asked questions, and it kind of evolved. That post is still up on David's.
Give us the details. What happened?
What did happen? I mean, David put up a post about 3 different cryptocurrencies. I made a comment about one of them, and it happened to be Oculus. And then he came in and said a couple things. I forget exactly what he said. And I basically just asked him if in retrospect, if in retrospect he should have launched the token after they had a work, instead of it being 4 months in and there's still no use case for the token. And it just kind of went off from there.
So what did he say to that?
He, in my opinion, gave a bunch of excuses as to why that wouldn't have been possible, which none of his answers made any sense to me.
Called JT some names and told him he was toxic AF. I think is basically what happened.
Yeah, I was kind of, I bit my tongue because I was like, I was reading it, I was like, man, you sound a lot more toxic and immature than I feel like I'm sounding right now. But, I just kind of left it at that.
I can't even imagine you being toxic, bro. Like, I just want to give you a hug because you're so nice most of the time.
Well, I appreciate that.
But no,
yeah.
I have to concur with you there. Like you said, Oculus is like what, the second big ASA that got listed on the platform, and there's still nothing for us to use. Nothing.
Yeah, and I even made a point to say in the thread that I think the Oculus concept is great. I'm still a supporter of the idea of it, but I feel like it's an objective reality that there still is no use case for the token. And the only one that they've mentioned that I've seen, unless I've missed it, is that they have staking coming up, which isn't really a use case. It's not a yield farming token, and you're already able to stake it on like KuCoin and other places. So it's not anything new. So just from my standpoint, all I asked was, pretty much when use case, and I got a bunch of answers as to, it's coming, and we couldn't have done it anyway.
I remember they had like a vacation giveaway for the holders. Is that a use case?
Yes, yeah, in theory.
But yeah, like you said, like staking is not a use case, and like for a long time they were blaming Yieldly because they couldn't use their platform or their technology because of a disagreement him and Seb had that I honestly think should have never been brought to the community in the first place. It should have just been between closed doors, between business friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And yeah, I have to agree with I read everything that happened, and I have to agree with 100% what you said. You know, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there without being too mean and too
Yeah,
toxic.
I don't really feel like beating a dead horse because it kind of went on for way longer than it ever should have. But I mean, the post is still up. It's on Crypto for Change's Twitter page if anyone wants to see it, and the recent live stream I did with Crypto for Change and C Will, we discussed it a little bit. So if anyone wants to hear about it a little bit more, just check out those spots.
So what do we think about Opulus now? I mean, from a holder's perspective, it's been awful. From a use case perspective, there's nothing there. From a music perspective, it's pretty down bad. So, I feel like on the one hand, they can really only get better from here. Well, I don't want that too soon. It could definitely get worse. And I feel like, coming in during 2021, they were definitely one of the most anticipated and hyped projects. We're going to revolutionize things. It hasn't really moved that quickly. I know the time, but how are we feeling about Opulus with all these things taken into account?
I had riding the pump 750. That was fun. That's the only comment I can get. Really.
Right. It kind of seems like that's the only good thing that's come out of it so far, because NFTs are really printing money for anyone. I wonder what the cost basis is for those. Like if you bought the SNFT for
nobody's in the green from those. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that right now.
One's earning exactly.
Nobody's in the green from those.
Right. So they're kind of pointless. At least right now, you need the song. This is why I think with Opulus, it makes way more sense to allow a small time artist to sell their song to their friends for a total cumulative amount of maybe a few hundred or a few $1,000s. And then if the song actually does well, those people will get paid and they will be in the green. But if you're spending, and you will have a significant portion of the royalties, I could sell Monty 10% of my song for $100, and I can use, I can sell 49% of my song and then use $500 to market the song, and then that might come back around. But if you're raising $500,000 for the Lil Pump song and really only owning a fraction of a percent, I don't really see where the profit's going to come from, because that song's not going to get hundreds of millions or billions of streams.
Yeah,
I think you've seen. Hey, Squirrel here, everyone. Thanks for having me. What's up? I think we've seen some smaller artists already have the NFT Populous. You've seen Big Zoo. You've seen Taylor Bennett, who is Chance's younger brother. I'm completely in agreement that I feel like the value paid is in a lesser known artist with the hopes that they blow up. I mean, Ed Sheeran did music with Ditto, for example. So if you could get yourself a 1% of the Ed Sheeran, then that provides a lot of value to the potential investor. I mean, they are working and developing their own platform now to roll out in the coming months. I just think in the crypto space, a day feels like a month, feels like a year. And if you don't see that, immediate result of a roadmap, which ultimately gives the token utility, people lose interest and people FUD. So, we went from 5 cents to, I don't know, $3 down to 70 cents, made its way to $7. And now if anyone, is still holding their bag, they're probably not too happy. But I don't really think any of the fundamentals of Opulus has changed. I mean, if you look at what they actually did with the Lil Pump sale, it was through Republic. I mean, it is a legitimate security, and they spent, countless behind the scenes setting it up so Opulus relative to any other music royalty, kind of blockchain enterprise, to actually do it the right way, to actually make it compliant with laws and regulations. So I think Oculus is actually doing exactly what they need to be doing, and they've been making progress there. I just think that in terms of price action, it's crypto. If you don't see immediate results, people dump and kind of move on to the next thing to try to get their yields. So I think Oculus is doing all the right things. I think that Lee can certainly speak his mind. Some people love it, some people hate it. I can certainly see it both ways. The guy's passionate about his business, and they have a really backing with Ditto and a lot of capital build what they've been building, and just in general in the Algorand side, I've seen a lot of FUD, even more now than ever about different projects. I think Zone is a recent one that people were FUDding. I mean, I Twitter for a day without seeing people making fun of the elephants, right? I think everyone's in agreement that the elephants could have been better, more traits, more diverse. That token launch shouldn't go so well, but if we continue to FUD dApps that could become revolutionary on our blockchain, I think we're just pushing away the potential for innovation here at Algorand. So I just hope everyone kind of rethinks their mindset, and we try to support each other on other projects rather than FUDding projects. Granted, a lot of FUD is extremely valid. Looking at Zone, how do we expect them to execute on their lofty roadmap if their execution, a token launch, and the AFK elephants was way below expectations. So a lot of that's warranted, but I think we should come together and try to help each other build, opposed to bringing down innovation in our community.
Awesome point of view there, Squirrel. I appreciate your thoughts and just encouraging folks to support each other. I like the NFT staking and the Acorn stuff. I think it's important. We should have a conversation about that. I know we've been meaning to. I think that kind of integration between projects is really important. They might even benefiting with somebody who already has some DeFi experience, like folks or AlgoFi, even somebody else, even Yieldly, if they could ever repair that relationship. But their use case where small artists can borrow against their future earnings via some kind of a DeFi project is strong. I'd like to see that move forward. I think that was probably what got me interested in them in the first place. It wasn't the little pump stuff, and the SNFT was just kind of a bonus for me.
I'm hoping the little pump was more of a large marketing play, and we end up seeing some smaller artists who really benefit from more or less crowdsourcing funding for their music, opposed to signing predatory record labels. And I think that's a huge part of the long-term goals. I would love to get myself a little slice of a Justin Bieber song too, but I also want to support up and coming artists who I like their music and want to help them continue their journey. So I'm really hoping we get to see that range of musical talent and price tiers and percentages of ownership being offered up. And that's, to my understanding, the long-term goal of Oculus is to be able to provide music by the little guy for the little guy, so we can have a slice and they'd be able to finance their operations.
And I do agree with you, and that's why I wasn't trying to be mean, but I just feel like with these projects we do have to be critical, and do kind of ask for these certain expectations, what I'm saying, in just my opinion, because it's easy to overpromise and underdeliver in this industry, extremely easy. So no hard feelings with Lee or anything like that. Like you said, he's obviously very passionate, because especially on Oculus launch, man, that man was tweeting by the 10 minutes. So that just shows you how much he honestly does care about the project, in my opinion. But I just like to be critical with these things, and with these project creators, I just ask them to just take the criticism with a grain of salt, because I mean it's just part of building your own community. You're going to hear things you don't like, it's that simple, and he just should just take criticism and just kind of move on from there, in my opinion.
Yeah, he definitely likes to respond to the criticism. I think we've all seen that, and as a content creator of my own, man, if it's a bad day on the charts, I'm not feeling great. And then when you get the kind of devs do something that doesn't feel great either, because there's always a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes. So I just think in general, there's more tactful ways to approach different projects where you think there are things that they can be doing better, or you have questions about the potential use case and things like that. And I'm not innocent. I've fudded projects too. I'm sure some of you have seen me FUD projects before in the past. So I'm not speaking, a holier than thou perspective. I just think it's we're all trying to grow our pie here. That is Elgorand, and I see it tough for people wanting to develop on Elgorand, knowing that there's that because we don't have as many dApps in our ecosystem as we want, could potentially, if things are going, 100% according to the roadmap or anything like that. So just suggest people thinking about taking a different kind of perspective and approach when it comes to analyzing and criticizing projects.
I definitely feel like people have to be constructively critical. Like, be critical, but be constructively critical, and don't ape your entire life savings into a project because you're hoping that they're going to take off to the moon. I feel like that has bad psychological effect where people feel like they get burned. Like, if you'd only donated $5 or whatever, $10 to the project, you wouldn't have so burnt when they don't deliver.
Absolutely. Also, reading is good. People don't read, so they don't understand. I think the elephants to me is a great example of that, where once again the elephants in terms of the JPEG, the art value, under delivered. There's no denying that. But if you read up on the proposed use cases, if you believe that Zone can deliver on the roadmap, which is I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic. I want Zone in our ecosystem to succeed. A lot of value in the elephant. We have a whole day of people making fun of the elephants. I mean, how is that good for our ecosystem? It's not good for this wholesome Elgorand culture that, for those who've been around here for the crypto Twitter half a year plus, that's just not good for our ecosystem. When we have something good, I think we should continue to build with positivity. I mean, there's like it or not, there's an artist behind those AFK elephants. It's not just some Fiverr artist. It's like a real person. Imagine going on Twitter and seeing everyone trash your stuff. I mean, that's not the person's probably not having a good time right now. So we got to think about how things affect other people.
But they're not trashing the artists. They're trashing the rollout of the NFTs because people expected more unique NFTs. And that's not really FUDding. That's not spreading FUD. Like, if anything, AFK Elephants or Zone Gaming, like, they created the FUD themselves because they overpromised and then they didn't deliver, and then they had to back up and fix the problem.
I definitely
they
think
created their own
the
FUD.
point that you
they
need to have.
definitely, when they said 10,000 unique elephants on their website, I 100% think that could be considered false advertising. I think that they would even be liable for a civil suit. I think they remedied it by offering up that swap so people could bring a duplicate and get a reroll. I actually know people reroll comments who overall poor, and it raises questions on their ability to execute on more important things like mainnet, chess, beyond. But I thought forks and torches were a little bit too much for potentially one of the only dApps on Algorand that isn't a DEX or a lending protocol. We want Zone to succeed, so just not sure why all that FUD was necessary.
Well,
Or at least the way.
Give it a little bit here, guys. I shared a link up at the top for AlgoDAO, and it appears they had their AMA on Friday. Unfortunately, that's another one that I missed. I'm not sure if the recording is coming here soon, but I did notice that we do have Nathan here in the chat as a speaker. So Nathan, if there's anything you'd like to share regarding AlgoDAO, it'd be wonderful to have you speak.
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks a lot, and it's great to be here, and it's my first time, so I'm slightly excited and slightly nervous, but no, it's I was just listening to the conversation before I want to speak too much about AlgoDAO. I just want to say that back to what was just discussed is I think it's hard between all of us because we're on one side totally excited, and then totally psyched. And then, as you say, sometimes there's over-promising and sometimes there's under-delivering, and it happens, and it's a bit of an art for us to all kind of chill out and just take a step back and realize that maybe the other guy is over-promising this time, maybe next time it's going to be yourself, and the other way around. Yeah, let's stay friends. Now we're at an extremely early point in crypto generally, and with Algorand even more. And so let's just all, kind of take a step back and build and help each other. And sometimes when there is delivering, you can point out and say sort of nice. You can sometimes vent your frustrations, but yeah, we're a very early stage, which is okay. So we just give it ourselves that it's just the beginning. I just want to say that. But yeah, on AlgoDAO, so same thing. I'm actually, when I was listening, I was like, oh my God, are we now over-promising? Are we going to be under-delivering and then put ourselves under pressure? What we want to do is we want to provide a primary market, a launch pad for the Algorand ecosystem, which we think it really, really needs, and it really, really doesn't have one yet. The team is fairly experienced. A lot of the tech guys, coders, they did OccamFi, that's OCCAM.fi before. And so they know how a launchpad works. And let's say we as a team, we also know what doesn't work because we had to learn because maybe at OccamFi there was over-promising and under-delivering. So we had to build stuff and fix it. And that's what we're about to do. Of course, when the question comes up, when this and when that, we're still being talked to a bit more like March. When the goal life is, we want to say too much because otherwise I'm going to be like Elon Musk and people are going to say like, yeah, what he said. But we should be probably end of March. We should be ready for Freddy. That's kind of my take. The AMA last Friday was by text only, and there's going to be a transcript available on Monday. By text isn't that much fun. That's my personal take. I didn't really enjoy it that much. I prefer it more live. But the transcript will be up Monday. But happy to take. I don't know. I don't want to say too much, and I don't want to occupy this occasion too much. But if you have any questions, go ahead. Happy to answer.
Yeah. What kind of are you just building a launchpad infrastructure, or are you building like also another thing? Like, are you building like your own DAO infrastructure? Or are you going to be using like some of the other stuff like Prismatic or like the SDKs like XBack will be offering for voting or stuff like that?
Okay, that's a great question. So we are building a DAO, or we're going to be, or we are a DAO at a very early stage. And so that's going to be a DAO-based launchpad. That's one answer. The second answer is that we have two tokens. I don't want to go too much into details, but the second token is going to represent a fund, sort of like a pool, like an ETF, right? In traditional finance, it's going to be slowly be filled up with different project tokens. So we probably have two pillars: the launchpad, properly speaking, and the fund on the other half, and then there's a link. When you talk about the tooling, we know Prismatic, we know Nadi, we talk with each other. We're still at an early stage, and that's so. Here we go again. Not the overpromising, the under delivering. We're at a very early stage. DAO, as it's currently set up, and as it will live, say, during the months of maybe March and April, it's going to fairly like bare bone. It's going to be pretty bare bone, MVP-ish. And then we'll take our time to build up the functionalities and use tooling, embedded tooling. And I'm actually really hoping for Prismatic and others to put tooling, because the DAOs really only work once you have proper tools in place. Otherwise, it's a bit too handmade. Let's put it that way. And I think it doesn't just go for Algorand. It goes for Algorand, but even goes for other chains where DAOs are just too rudimentary, I think. Let's see who builds what and what we can use. If anybody here is building other tools, please, we're going to look at everything and try to build it over time. So that's a bit back to what I said before. No, it's early days, so we'll just have to do it very step by step.
Yeah, you'll definitely have to speak with the guys at XBack, because they're going to be providing SDKs for everyone to build at least their own voting structure. Not so much the treasury management. We'll have to naturally wait for Natalie to kind of, get that to us. Win, Natalie. But yeah, I agree with you what you said right there. Like all these DAO infrastructure tools, especially on Algorand, are such in its infancy. So when it comes to DAO, it's like I always tell people, don't expect too much until we get the real infrastructure there. But yeah, that sounds cool, man. That sounds real cool.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious about all the different things that these on-chain DAO tools are going to deliver, like competition-wise, if there's going to be like various particular items that is going to be unique to each platform. But I wish we would have had this like 2 months ago, 3 months ago today. I mean, we're ready.
Jeff, I mean, when you say about competition, I think we got so little at this moment, so it will be necessary. Sure. I'd love to have competition. Yeah.
No doubt.
Awesome. I'm glad you had a few minutes to kind of fill us in there, and we'll have transcripts. Evo, it's been a little over an hour and a half. Should we start to wind things down?
Yeah, sure. It's been a great talk. Thanks everyone for coming out. Great discussion. Check out Market Makers Behind the JPEG with Dope Cats. Check out Monty's new content. Are you putting out content right now, Monty, or are you focusing on Citrus?
We got 2 new videos on Crypto Nerds. Citrus is going to do more professional style news pieces on their own. So that'll be separate from what I do. But yeah, we're still turning out content. Still got your Algo Daily News.
Nice. Okay, so check that out. Follow anyone in this space that you thought was interesting. And anybody have a closing comment they want to say before I cut it down?
Yeah, I mean, like Squirrel will be having some on-chain voting with his NFT pretty soon. So I just FOMO'd into a CSA because of that while we're in this call.
Oh yeah, coming soon. Next few days, actually.
Well done.
Yeah, one thing I'll share is March 14th, you have the Algorand event down in Austin, Texas. And then through, is it the 18th or 19th through the 20th, you have the launch of the Reach event. So I'll throw the links up at the top real quick. If anyone's going to be in the area or interested in attending, you still have time to register and book your tickets.
Good call. Algo Ranch, Austin.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I'm not sure if I'll be in Austin, but I will try to pop out. Thank y'all for coming to this space. It's been the AlgoFam Sunday chat. This will be recorded if you want to listen to any parts that you missed. So thanks everyone for coming out, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Thanks everyone.
Yeah, thanks for hosting.
Bye, y'all.